prepare our own web services, and how can we expose the web services to the third-party people, and how the third-party people can able to consume our web services, and how can we access our web service with the help of the URI, and how can those people can get the data also we have discussed. Now today we see how can we invoke the third-party web services. Okay, how can we invoke the third-party web service? Suppose we are having the payment gateway, or it may be a SMS gateway also. It may be a weather map application also. It may be a job related information also. It may be a banking websites also, a financial website also. It may be anything. If the third party organization is offering a web service which is used to connect with that system, then how can we invoke that third party system's web service? Okay, now let's see practically. Concept is very simple. Don't think it is a typical topic. Integration is very easy. If you know development, integration is very simple. Nothing else. For example, I have a system, the third-party application. The third-party application, like as a weather map application. This is some open weather map application. So now assume that we have a third-party website or a third-party organization and the third-party application that is open weather map application. So where these people are going to be keep on doing the R&D or the various the cities to collect the weather information by using with their weather station. They're having almost 40,000 weather stations are available in the different cities, in the different locations, in different countries where their employees are getting work. So with the help of these weather stations, these people are collecting the weather information of that city, and that information they're storing inside their application. Okay, they're storing that information inside their application. For example, they're having their own database. And there is a table. There is a table. So there is a table or there is a database that are maintaining over here internally in order to store that whole information. They're maintaining a database. So they're maintaining their own database. This database may be either Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, whatever, anything. I'm not bothered about the database. They're using the database. In this database, they're having a table. Because they have an object. For example, assume that there is a table. There is a table with the name some weather info. For example, assume that the table name is weather info table. Weather info. There is a table is around. They are using a table with the name weather info. In this table, they are storing the weather information of all the cities. So in this case, inside this table, they are having the various columns. Okay, they are having the various columns, like as the city name and the city ID of the city, and then latitude value, longitude value, and the pressure information, and the wind information, speed, and the temperature minimum, temperature maximum, and then they are going to be indicating because the humidity. Like that, they're having the so many columns are available inside this. Okay, they're having so many columns like a city name, city ID, latitude, longitude, pressure information, wind, speed, temperature, average temperature, minimum temperature, maximum temperature, feels like, and then humidity, the whole information that's storing inside this. Now this is the application they have. Now these people are going to be keep on collecting the data from the various cities by using their weather stations, and the information they're updating inside this application. Frequently they're updating, like as for every 10 seconds, for every 2 minutes, for every 3 minutes, okay, they're going to be updating this information because temperature will be keep on changing. It's not constant, it's not fixed. Keep on changing the temperature here, so that they're going to be keep on updating this information inside the database. So whatever the data they have stored inside this database, this information can be accessible by the various applications. Okay, various applications. Like for example, I would like to have having a mobile device. I'm having a smartphone. I have a smartphone which is from iPhone, or it may be a Samsung mobile, it may be anything. I'm having a smartphone. I'm having a smartphone. In this smartphone, here on my wallpaper, on my screen, okay, on my home screen, I want to see the weather information. Okay, I want to show the weather information. Like I want to show the weather information like as I would like to show the city name from Hyderabad. I want to indicate like as some 27 degrees. Okay, 27 degrees. 27 degrees centigrade. And then here I would like to show that some cloud information also. Okay, the cloud information. Like as the weather is like as the sky is like as cloudy. I would like to show that information also. So in this case, what happened? Whatever the mobiles or whatever the smartphones that we are using nowadays, in every smartphone you will be having the weather which is nothing but a small feature inside that application. So now through that we can able to collect some weather information from a specific city. Based on the city, we can able to collect the weather information also. How it is collecting this weather information? Will this mobile device is having any sensors which is going to be capturing the weather information? No. The smartphone is not having any sensor in order to measure the current weather information in that particular location. So in this case, how it is collecting whenever this mobile has been getting enabled by the internet, whenever you are accessing the internet, immediately this smartphone is going to be connecting to this particular app. It is going to be connecting to this particular app, and then it is going to be collecting the data from this application. It will make a request to that WeatherMap application, and from there it will collect the weather information. That weather information will be getting visible to you, okay, inside your smartphone. So now here in this case, what happened? So now it is also connecting to this particular WeatherMap application. Then how this WeatherMap application can be accessible? In this case, so now this open WeatherMap application is having their own database, which will be holding some confidential information. Not only the weather data, in the database they're having their weather stations information also, their employees information also, their payrolls information also, and some other confidential data is also available. Now, will this open WeatherMap application people will be allowing every smartphone to access the entire data? No, they won't allow you to use the entire data. They are going to be exposing only some data. Whatever the data is required for this particular the smartphone, only the data they can able to access. Then how can you restrict? For that reason here, inside this open WeatherMap application, they are going to be building a web service. Okay, they are building a web service. They are preparing a web service. Okay, now this web service is going to be connecting to this particular database. The web service is internally connecting to this particular database, and it is going to be collecting the weather information. Okay, it is collecting that weather information. So in this case, what happened? The web service is going to be internally having some business logic inside this. Okay, web service is internally having some business logic inside that. Now it is connecting to the respective database table. It will collect that weather information of that particular input parameters. It will be exposing this information to that people. Now, in this case, what happened? Whenever if you want to collect the weather information of a particular city, we have to pass the city name. Okay, now I'm going to pass the city. I'm passing that city. So now, based on that city name, it is going to be connecting to that database table based on the city name from Hyderabad. For this Hyderabad city, whatever the current temperature is available, whether details are available, it is collecting the information, it is passing to that smartphone. So that smartphone is going to be refreshing the data, it will display the current weather information also. So that what happened, third party people are going to be exposing some web services over here. Like the similar way, for example, I'm having my own Salesforce instance. I have a Salesforce organization. I have a Salesforce application. I'm having a Salesforce organization. In this Salesforce organization, I would like to write some piece of code. I would like to write some piece of code. Through this code, I would like to collect the current weather information of a particular city. Okay, current weather information of a particular city code. So now for this one here, what needs to be done? Now from my Salesforce organization, I would like to connect to this particular web service. Okay, I would like to have a connection to my web service. So we can able to interact with that application through web service. Just we can able to pass the city name based on what you would like to get the information, based on the city name, based on the postal code, based on the latitude and longitude value, based on the city ID or what, based on what you would like to fetch the information. For example, I would like to fetch the weather information of the city equals to some Chennai. Chennai. So now whenever I'm going to passing this city name as Chennai, then this web service is going to be collecting this city name. Based on the city name, it will go to the respective database table. It will query the information from the table. Based on the city name Chennai, it will collect the weather information. This weather information will be passing back to the Salesforce instance. So how it is sending this information back? This information will be sending back to you, okay, in the form of a JSON format. In the form of JSON format. The response will be sending in the form of JSON format. Okay, the response is going to be sending in the form of JSON format. So I would like to get the response in the form of JSON format. So once the response has been getting collected, okay, once the response has been getting collected, then I can able to show that information inside my Salesforce instance. So in this case, how can we connect to this particular web services? How to connect to this web services? In order to connect to the web services, as part of your Salesforce instance, Salesforce is providing three classes by default. First one is HTTP class, HTTP request class, HTTP response class. These are the three simple classes, nothing else. Okay? Three simple classes. Okay. So now no need to learn so many classes, thousands of classes. Simply three classes: HTTP class, HTTP request class, HTTP response class. Three classes we are using, especially in order to connect to that third-party web services. If you want to invoke the third-party web services, nothing but for the callouts. Okay, for callout. That means what? From Salesforce, we are invoking the third-party web service. This is nothing but a callout. This is nothing but a callout feature. We are going to be invoking the third-party web services. Previously, what happened? We have prepared the web service. Third-party people are going to be invoking our web service. That means call is coming into our Salesforce instance. That is call in. But now, what we are going to do? We are going to be invoking the third-party people's web service. Then how can we invoke the third-party people's web service here? For that one, we are using the feature called as callout feature. Through with the help of callout, we can able to invoke the third-party web services, and then we can able to pass some parameters. We can get the response back, and that response we can able to represent inside the Salesforce instance also. That facility will be available to you. So in this case, how can we invoke this third-party web services? So in order to invoke the third-party web services, we have to use three simple classes: HTTP, HTTP request, HTTP response class. These are the three classes we are going to use. Then what exactly the HTTP class? What exactly HTTP request class? What exactly HTTP response class? Okay, now let's see. Simply in single word, in single sentence, I can say HTTP class is used to invoke that request and to get the response. Okay. HTTP class is used to invoke the request, that means to send the request to that third-party web service and to get the response. Now, upon sending the request, if you want to pass some parameters, if you want to indicate some settings, like some timeout options, to which web service you would like to invoke, okay, to which web service you would like to invoke. So at that time, in order to connect to that web service, whatever the parameters are required, all this information we can specify in the HTTP request class. So now here in this case, HTTP class is used to invoke that request, that is to send the request to the third-party application, and we can get the response. So this is the functionality of HTTP request class. Next. So now HTTP request class. HTTP request class is used to prepare the request. Whatever the request you would like to invoke to the third party to prepare the request parameter. This class is used to prepare the request. Prepare the request with the required input parameters. In order to prepare the request with the required input parameters, we are going to be using the HTTP request class. And the third one is HTTP response class. So now this HTTP response class is purely used to receive the response. This class is used to get the response from the external system, that means external web service. In order to receive the response from the third-party web services, we are going to be using the help of the HTTP response class. These are the three classes we are using simply, nothing else, not more than that. If you know how to use these classes, it's simple concept. Now, so these are the three classes we are using as part of your Salesforce instance in order to connect to that third-party web services. To connect to the third-party web services, we are going to be using these three classes: HTTP class, HTTP request class, HTTP response class. Three classes we are using. Now, then what exactly the HTTP class and what are the methods available? What is this HTTP request class? What methods are available? What is this HTTP response class? What methods are available? How to use them? How to invoke the third-party web services? Everything we see practically in this case. Now, so let's go to that HTTP class first. Now, in this case, HTTP class, it is used to initiate the HTTP request to that third-party web service or the external system, so that we can send the request to that web service and we can get the response back. In order to invoke the request to the third-party system or to invoke a specific web service and to get the response back, nothing but initiate the request to get the response back. To perform this round-trip operation, we are using HTTP class. So now, how can we send the request to that HTTP class or to that web service? For that one, we are using a method called as send method. As part of HTTP class, we are having only two methods are available. First one is send method. Second one is toString method. Send method is used to send the request. In order to send the request to a specific web service, we are going to be using the send method. Now, inside the send method, we have to specify the HTTP request details. We have to pass the HTTP request class object. That means which request you would like to invoke here. In that request class, will specify what details you would like to specify. Now, so now this method will send the HTTP request to a specified endpoint and return the HTTP response back. That means what? This send method is going to be sending the request. Okay, so it will be sending the request to the third-party web service. Now here you can be able to raise a question: sir, to which web service we are connecting? How this send method will know? That entire information we have to specify in the HTTP request object. In this parameter, we are passing HTTP request object. In this one, we have to specify the whole information. I will show you that what information, what methods are available. We'll see. Now, whenever we are going to be initiating a request, then we have to use that method called as send method as part of this HTTP class. This method is going to be sending the request to the third-party system, and then third-party system will be receiving the request. It will process that request, it will send the response back, and then the response will be receiving by the send method. So that means it is sending the request, getting the response, both. Now, so after that, and then the toString method. Okay, it is nothing but the second one is the toString method. Now it returns the string used to identify the object's property. In order to identify the object's property, we are going to be using a method called as toString method here. So now here in this case, in order to receive that, identify that object's information and their properties, we are using that method called as toString method. These are the two simple methods are available as part of this HTTP class, which especially we are going to be using to initiate the request to that specific third-party web service and to get the response back with the help of a method called as send. Next, the second, whenever we are initiating the request, to whom you want to connect, to whom you want to connect. For that one, we have to indicate. Because, for example, even though I'm connecting to a third-party web service, it is having some URL, right? How can we connect to this particular web service? It will be having some URI. Okay, what is this URI? Maybe the URI will be looking like this: HTTPS, like as API dot some open WeatherMap .org/city and then question mark. It is having some URI. Like whenever we're preparing our own web services also, now this web service is also having some parameters, right? Okay, he is also having some parameters, right? Like for example, the previous session we have prepared our web services. How that web service can be accessible? We have to access by using HTTPS, like some ap15.salesforce.com/services/apex/rest/case manager service. This is the URI. This is called as the endpoint. Nothing but target web service URL. Okay, how to connect to the web service? This is the service name. This is the resource name. So which has been exposed by an organization called as Salesforce.com, which is available inside a server called as AP15 server. So like that here, every web service will be having its own URI. That means endpoint URL. This is called as the endpoint URL. This is a part of that web service where exactly it has been located. Like the similar way, each and every web service will be having its own URI. This is also called as endpoint. Okay, endpoint. Endpoint means what? Target point, target URL, and the target website to which you would like to connect. So in this case, we have to specify the parameter. That means this is the web service which I am going to be connecting. Suppose if it requires some parameters, we have to pass the parameters also over here. If it requires some authorization code, we need to pass the authorization code also for this one. So at that time here, to specify this whole information, to which web service you would like to connect, what parameters you would like to specify, everything we are going to be using with the help of a class called as HTTP request class. HTTP request class is used to indicate, okay, this is used to indicate a HTTP request which is used to connect to a third-party web service. So to indicate that what type of operation you want to do. You want to get the data, you want to insert some data, update the data, deleting the data, what? We need to specify that methods information also. So now HTTP request class is used to programmatically create a HTTP request, okay, which is used to perform the respective operations like as to get some data, or to insert some data, to update some data, to delete some data, to perform all these actions over here. Okay, now. So now in this case, we are indicating that we can send the request along with the required method type. That means what type of method you are going to performing. Is it a get method? Is it a delete method? Posting method or what? Everything we need to specify. So previously when you use the workbench, we are specifying the path inside the text box. Along with that, we are selecting the method also. Put, get, okay, delete, like that. We are having some radio buttons other we are selecting. That means what method we are going to be invoking to indicate that we are selecting the radio buttons. But here also we can specify, we can send the request along with the required method type, what type of method you are going to be invoking. Whether you are going to be invoking the get method or post method or posting method or delete method or what kind of information, what kind of method you would like to invoke. Of course, we are accessing the service. Of course, we are accessing the service. I'm fine with that. But which method you are going to invoke? We need to specify the method, right? Yes. Like for example, previously we have prepared some web services over here. So this is the web service that we have prepared. Let me explain that. For example, so this is the web service I would like to have. In this web service, we can able to place two methods. So for example, I'm indicating this. So this is my web service. In this web service, I have placed that information. So this is one get method is available. Can you specify some more methods? Yes, you can specify, but not the same method, different methods you can place inside. I'm placing one more method inside. See, inside a single service class, I have placed two methods: get method, delete method. So how you are accessing the service by using this service name, resource name. Whenever I'm accessing the resource name, which method it has to invoke, we have to specify the method. You want me to execute this method, or you want me to execute this method? We have to indicate. For that reason here, we have to specify the method name. If I'm passing the method name as get, it will execute this method here. If I'm passing the method name as delete, it will execute this method. That means what? Even though I'm accessing the resource by using the resource name, then in this one it will be having multiple methods are available. So which method you want me to invoke, we need to indicate. For that one, we are using that method attribute. Method property is available, and the method is also available inside that to indicate that method. Get method, put method, post method, delete method, we can specify. And we can send the request header if needed for the authentication. See, whenever we are going to be having some authorization servers are available at that time, we have to specify the access token also with the help of request header. So now by using this request header method, we can able to specify the authorization tokens also, like as access tokens also we can specify, because if the third party web service is going to be running behind a firewall, if it is having a separate authorization server is available, then we need to collect that access token by connecting to that authorization server. And then we can specify the session timeouts also, nothing but connection timeouts. That means that how long time it has to be specified. Okay, how long time it has to be get specific, wait to get the response back. Basically, to connect to the particular resource, okay, to connect to the particular resource, Salesforce is giving the time till maximum of 10 minutes. Till 10 minutes, keep on it is trying to be connecting to the resource. If it is unable to connect, after that, it is going to be indicating session timeout. Nothing but connection timeout is happened. And then, so we can send the connection to the endpoint. That means here we can send the content to the endpoint in the form of request body. Like for example, whenever we are going to be inserting some records, we have to pass the body also. Like previously, whenever I'm creating some records inside the object here, I'm passing some request body also over here. This is the request body also. We have to supply in the form of the request itself. Inside the request, we can specify to which server you are going to connect. That means to which endpoint you are going to connect. What is the session timeouts also? That means how long time it has to be try to connect to that particular resource. Third one, we can able to specify which type of method you are going to invoke, and then what is the parameters also. That means here the method body also we can specify along with that message header also. That means we can able to specify, okay, the authorization codes also inside if it requires. Authorization code is not required for all the application. Few applications are required, especially we'll see in tomorrow's session, because of tomorrow we are going to be discussing about that OAuth authentications. So at that time, we have to pass that parameters also in the form of request body, so that we can specify the request body also, okay, on connecting to the third-party web service to that particular endpoint here. Now, so then whenever we are going to preparing this request, to specify this request body, to specify the connection timeout, to specify that method, what are the methods are available inside this? We are having the various methods are available. HTTP request class methods. Now we are having the first method called as set method. So now what is the set method? Set method is going to be indicating which method you are going to invoke from that particular web service. Okay, from that particular web service, which method you want to invoke. Here I'm indicating get. If I'm indicating get, then what it will invoke? It will invoke only that particular method in that service which is having the annotation HTTP GET annotation. Okay, whatever the method is available. For example, here we are having the two methods are available here inside the web service. Okay, two methods I'm having inside the web service. So upon invoking the service, if I'm passing the method as GET, it will invoke only that particular method which is having the annotation in the HTTP GET annotation. If I'm passing that method as delete, it will invoke that second method. This method will be getting invoked automatically. So that here, which method you are going to invoke, we need to specify with the help of the HTTP set method. This is the method which has been given by Salesforce. Next one. So what is the endpoint over here? Nothing but what is the target URL? That means target website URL or the web service URL. Where exactly the web service you can specify this is the URL of the web service. Okay. Now, for example, how to do that? Now let me explain. For example, here to connect to this particular web service here, let me explain the process. So for that one, we have to prepare the HTTP request class object. HTTP request. I'm indicating request equals to new HTTP request class. And then we can specify that request dot set endpoint. That means to which server, nothing but to which web service you would like to invoke. Specify the web service name. So what is my web service right now over here? This is my web service. How can we access this web service? We have to specify the complete path, like as HTTPS ap16 or ap15.salesforce.com /services/apex/rest/my service name. So this is the third-party web service to which I would like to connect over here. To which I would like to connect. And then in this service here, what we have two methods are available: HTTP delete, HTTP get. Which method you would like to invoke? So for that one, we have to specify that method. Request dot set method. What is the method you are going to invoke? I would like to invoke that get. So that I will be getting get. So whenever I'm going to be using this method as get, then in this particular service, whatever the method is available, whatever the function is available, whatever the procedure is available, which is having the annotation with the rate HTTP get, this method will be getting invoked automatically by default. And then after that, we can specify the set body. If you want to pass any body, nothing but request the body, we can able to specify that body information also. For that one, we can specify request dot set body method. In this one, we can able to specify the request body. Request the body in JSON format. We can specify the JSON format also. Next one. After that, we will be having set a client certificate. If you are using some like a SSL protocols, at that time we have to use the help of certificates. So now this client certificate we need to buy from the respective vendor. So suppose, for example, if you want to buy the client certificate, then we have to contact Microsoft. By paying that license amount, we can able to buy the client certificate and we can able to install it to our organization. Also from there we can use. But it is not required right now over here. We don't need any client certificate. And we can specify the set timeout option. We can indicate the time. That means here in that one, we can specify how long time it has to try to connect to that web service. Suppose initially if the web service is downstage, then keep on for how long time I need to try. So by default, Salesforce is giving the time as maximum of 10 minutes, not more than that. Next one, set header. Set header is used to indicate the authorization codes. Okay, set header is used to indicate the authorization code. Like as if you want to pass any access tokens, then we can able to specify the access tokens also to this particular request. And then set compressed. Whatever the request body, whatever the request that you have prepared, if you want to send this request in the compressed format, then we are going to be using that set compressed or boolean. If you are using the value true, then it is going to be compressing the request content. It will be sending that to the respective third-party web service very easily over the network, so that we can able to access that content also from the third-party web service. So that in order to connect to the third-party web service, whatever the input parameters are required, all the parameters were specified inside that HTTP request object. Next, after that HTTP response. Whenever we are invoking the third-party web service, definitely third-party web service is giving some response, right? Yes, it will be giving some response back. To get that response, to store that response information, we are using the HTTP response class. HTTP response class is used to collect the response, okay, from the web services. Okay, so to use the HTTP response class, okay, to handle the HTTP response returned by the HTTP class. That means in order to collect the response returned by that web service, we are using this HTTP response class. Now what are the response it is forwarding here in that response, what are the content is available? The content is available inside a method called as, method body. There is a proper method is available, method body. From that one, we can able to collect the response information. So we can get the content of that response. Nothing but we can get the response information from the response body. And then we can set the response header if needed. Whenever if you want to specify the response header, like as if you want to get the response in the form of JSON format or XML format or content type, we can able to specify by using the response header if required. So now we can set and get the status code. That means sometimes if you are unable to connect to the third-party web service or what are the service name that are specified, if it is wrong, at that time it is giving some response codes also. Based on the response code also, we can able to identify what is the mistake that we did. So for that one, we can get that status codes also written by the HTTP request class. Now, in this case, let's see what are the various methods are available. As part of these methods, we are having the get body method. Get body method is used to get the content which has been written by the web service. That means whatever the response has been written by the web service, the response information we can able to collect with the help of the get body method from the HTTP response class. And then we have get a status. In order to get the status of that particular response, whether the request has been processed successfully or it has been failed, to get that confirmation, we are using get status. And get the status code, nothing but we can able to get the status code also. We can able to get the status code also, which has been generated by the Salesforce upon connecting to the third-party web service. And then if you want to get that XML format of response, then we can use the method get XML stream reader. These are the various methods are available as part of HTTP response class. Whenever we are going to be collecting the response from the third-party system or invoking the third-party web service, whatever the response has been written by the third-party web service, we can able to get that response, along with the response code also. So what is the status code? We can see these are the various HTTP response status codes are available. Status code and the description. If the response the status code is like some 200, it is indicating success. Success. And then 201 created success code, it will be returning over here for the post request. Whenever you are inserting the record, if the record has been processed successfully, inserted successfully, it is returning the response code as a 201. And then 204, no content. No content. Whenever you are trying to be deleting the record, if the record is not found, it is indicating 204 as the response code. And then 415. Because the entity in the request is in the format, it is not supported by the specified method. What are the content, what are the requests are specified, in that one, what are the format you have followed, if that format is not supporting with the third-party system, then it is going to be indicating the response code as 415. And then, so now you will be having the 400. The request could not be understood. Whatever the request was specified, the request cannot be understood usually because JSON or XML body contains some errors. Whenever if you are having some errors are available in that input request format, so at that time, because of that error, because of that mistakes, because of that error, now the request cannot be able to understand with the third-party system, so it is giving the response as 400. So like that here it is indicating, it is indicating 403 means the request has been refused. Nothing but per Salesforce, the third-party system can't accept your request because here you may be having some request limits are already exceeds. So that we can able to verify that information. Verify that the login user has appropriate permissions or not. If the error is request limit exceeds, then you have exceeded the API request limits also for your organization. So that how many requests you are able to raise that. So more than that, if you are more than that limit, if you are raising the request, it is going to be refusing your request. Simply it will discard the request. It is indicating the response code as 403. Based on the code itself, we can able to understand. Like the similar way, whenever you are entering into any of the ATM center, you will be having the similar kind of chart will be available. You will be having similar kind of chart will be available when you go to the ATM centers. In every ATM centers, will be having the similar kind of chart, like as 000 completed successfully, transaction complete. 001 some error message, 002 card not valid, 004 card is blocked, 005 insufficient funds. Like that, it will be indicating the codes also. Based on that code, we can able to understand what is the problem with my card. Why I am unable to perform those operations, we can see. So these are the various HTTP response code also has been given by the Salesforce by default. Based on the response code, we can able to understand. So what is the problem? What is the mistake that we did? Okay, so these are the three classes we are using simply in order to connect to the third-party web service. We have to use that HTTP class, HTTP request class, HTTP response class. Only these are the three classes we need to use. Simple concept. Then how can we invoke? Now let's see practically. Now, so let me take a small use case and how can we implement that? Let me show you practically. Now, so whenever we are going to be invoking any third-party web service, okay, whenever we are going to be invoking any third-party web service, first of all, we have to follow a fundamental principle. Okay, we have to follow a fundamental principle. Suppose, for example, this is the open WeatherMap application is available, to which I would like to invoke from the Salesforce. In this case, as a step one, okay, as a first step, first of all, whatever the URL to which you would like to connect, okay, whatever the URL to which you would like to connect, that is nothing but this is the indefinite URL. Okay, this is the indefinite URL. So now, first of all, we have to inform to the Salesforce, this is a third-party application URL to which I would like to connect. So please allow me to connect to the website. Please allow me to connect to the website. Then how can we inform to the Salesforce? For that one, inside your Salesforce organization, okay, we are having a feature called as remote site settings. Okay, we have an option called as remote site settings. We have an option called as remote site settings. We are having an option called as remote site settings. So where it is available, remote site settings is available under security controls. Okay, under the security controls, so now we are having the remote site settings option is available. So now we are having this remote site settings option is available under security controls. So we have to go to that. We have to go to your Salesforce instance. Inside your Salesforce instance, we are having that remote site settings option is available under security control. And then here we need to add this URL. So whatever the third-party systems web service is available here, these are the web service that we have. Now we have to add inside this remote site settings. Like for example, so whatever the URL is available to which you would like to connect, we have to add inside the remote site settings. HTTPS API dot open WeatherMap. WeatherMap.org. Up to this part is sufficient. We don't need to specify the complete path. Even though if I'm giving the complete path, it is going to be adding only this particular path only. We have to specify that open API.openweathermap.org. So this is the path is available to which I would like to connect over here. Now we have to add this URL inside your Salesforce instance inside this remote site settings. We have to use the remote site settings. Inside that, we have to add this URL here. That means I'm informing to the Salesforce instance. So this is the third-party web service to which I would like to connect. So please allow me to connect to the third-party web service. For that reason, we are going to indicate. Okay. Now, so in this case here, we have to inform to the Salesforce that I'm going to be connecting to the third-party web service. So now, so that please allow me to connect to the third-party web service. So now in this case, whenever you are trying to be accessing any web service, first of all, Salesforce will go to the remote site settings. It will verify whether this particular web service can be accessible or not, whether this web service can be invocable or not. Okay, so it will be verified. That is it a trusted application or not to which I would like to connect. Now, suppose for example, assume that I'm having a mobile. Somebody is giving a call to me. So whenever we are going to picking up the call, first of all, we verify or not. Is it one of my relative member or friend, or is one of my known person or not, we are verifying. Suppose if the number is from an unknown number, okay, first of all, we are not picking up that number first. Okay, immediately we are looking into that true caller. Who is this person here? Is it our known person? Okay, then we can able to pick up that call, or else we can make a call to the person directly. You can give the call back. So whenever he is giving the call second time, we can pick up that call. In this meantime, we'll verify who is this person. Is it a known person or unknown person? We are verifying. Like the similar way, whenever we are going to be connecting to the third-party web service, first of all, Salesforce will verify. So now whether we are having the right starting, but whether we are having this particular web service name having added inside the remote site settings. Because to verify is it a trusted application or not, Salesforce will verify with the help of this remote site settings. Now, so in this case, we are going to be invoking this web service by adding into the remote site settings first. So first of all, as a step one, we have to add this particular web service inside the remote site settings, and from there we can able to prepare your user interface. We can write the business logic also. Okay, then we can able to invoke that web service with the help of HTTP class, HTTP request class, and HTTP response class. Okay, these are the three classes we are using right now. Now let's see how can we do this one. Let me take a small example with a practical part. How can we connect to the third-party web service? How can we get this information? Now, so now let's see how can we connect to that open WeatherMap application in order to connect. So whenever we are going to be invoking any web service, then first of all, we have to identify what is the capability of the third-party system. So whether the third-party system is supporting both REST and SOAP, or if it is supporting only SOAP, we have to go with the SOAP implementation. If it is supporting only REST, we can go with the REST implementation. If it is supporting both, okay, most preferably 99% of the organizations are using REST only, because this is very, very lightweight, very easy to implement, easy to pass, easy to manage. SOAP is a very lengthy process. Okay, so for that reason here, most of the people are going to be using that REST implementation. So here now let's see, we'll go with that REST implementation also. How can we implement this one? We'll see practically right now in this case. So now here in this case, how can we get this information? Now let's see practically. Now, so let me take a small use case. I'm having the open WeatherMap application with a third-party web service that we have. Now I would like to connect to that third-party web service in order to get the weather information of a particular city. Depends upon a particular city, I want to collect the weather information. So that here I would like to connect to this open WeatherMap application, and then I would like to invoke this. So whenever we are going to be connecting to any WeatherMap application or any system, any third-party system, first of all, look into the documentation first. They will be providing one documentation to you, because here, without looking into the application, without looking into the documentation, we can't do the integration. That's what I already told you in the initial classes itself. Integration is not a one-man's job. Integration is a two teams job. Two teams have to collaboratively work, and then they have to integrate both the systems. Okay, now. So in this case, okay, we have to go through the documentation first. For that one, just to go to that, okay, current weather data, you will be having the API documentation. Click on API documentation, they will be clearly indicating that how can we connect to that particular open weather map, and then what is the URL you would like to use to connect to that, how to pass the values, they're indicating clearly. If you want to get the information based on the city name, then it is indicating that. Okay, we get the city name. Based on the city name, we can able to invoke this service. This is the URL. This is nothing but the endpoint URL. Okay, this is nothing but the endpoint URL. This is the endpoint URL. So we have to use that HTTPS. api.openweathermap.org/data/2.5/weather quotation q equals to, we have to pass this flag. Suppose if you want to fetch the information of that weather information of the Hyderabad location or some Bangalore location, we have to specify URL, and then along with that we can able to specify, instead of London, I would like to specify Bangalore. Or instead of specifying this one, we can able to specify that information that is called as Mumbai. Like that. That means what? This the value we need to pass dynamically at one time. Mumbai. That means input. We need to add this one to my web service dynamically at one time. So based on that input, we can able to collect the information. Based on that input, we can able to fetch the required information. Okay, from that. Okay. Based on that information, we can able to collect the information. So now here in this case, so based on that information, we can able to, based on the city name, we can able to collect that respect to weather information from that particular third-party system. Also, the facility will be available. Now, so in this case, how can we connect to this one? Now let's see it practically here. So now, for example, I would like to have the implementation like this. So my requirement is I would like to have a user interface or a visual first page. I would like to have. This is my visual first page. Let me explain my use case. I'm having this visual first page. In this visual first page, I would like to have a search functionality so that based on the city, we can able to collect that weather information. Now, I would like to have a search functionality here. I'm indicating enter the city name. Based on the city name, I would like to fetch the weather information. I'm indicating the city name over here. I'm indicating a small button control. I'm indicating the enter city name. Here I'm pressing the button control. Get details. Okay, get details. Okay, now get details. So now in this case, I'm specifying the city name, and along with that, we are going to be specifying the button control called as get details. So now through this get details button, I would like to get that information over here. Now, so whatever the city name that I specified, based on that city name, I would like to get the weather information. Okay, now. So in this case, how can we get the weather information? Now let's see. I want to place the user interface here. I would like to place that a section. So now here I would like to represent that information also. After entering the city name, some Bangalore, when you click on that get details button, immediately I want to collect the weather information of this particular city, and then I want to represent this information inside the section. Here I would like to have the various fields like the city name. I would like to display the pressure information, pressure value, and then humidity value, and then the wind value or whatever, simply these two, and then temperature. And here I would like to represent the feels like temperature, and the minimum temperature, maximum temperature, we are going to be indicating that. I want to store these values inside my user interface by connecting to the third-party web service. I would like to connect into the third-party web service. Through that web service, I would like to collect this information. Okay, I would like to collect this information. So based on the city name, for example, I'm entering the city name like some Bangalore. I'm indicating the city name as Bangalore. After entering the city name Bangalore, when I click on this get details, it has to connect to the third-party web service, that is Open WeatherMap application, and then get that weather information. I want to display that information inside my Visual Force page in this case. Then how can we get this information? Okay, now let's see practically with the help of this by connecting to the third-party web service. Okay, now. So in this case, whenever if you want to connect to the third-party web service, you have to follow some steps, set of steps. Now, as a step one. First of all, get the endpoint URL. Get the endpoint URL. That means the target web service. Target web service which you are going to invoke. So whatever the web service to which you are going to invoke, or whatever the third-party application to which you are going to connect, first of all specify that the target endpoint URL, collect that web service. For example, this is my web service to which I would like to connect. Collect this web service. When you go to any application, whenever if you want to connect to that any application, they'll be clearly indicating inside the documentation regarding the web service name. Nothing but the path or the URI or the endpoint URL. They're going to be indicating the endpoint URL inside this one. Okay, now. So after that, here for example, I'm collecting the endpoint URL. This is my endpoint URL. HTTP. Here we have to specify the city name. Okay, city name. Next. So now after that, once the endpoint URL is available, then we need to add that endpoint URL, okay, inside your remote site setting. So as a step 2, add the URL at the endpoint URL inside the remote site setting. Inside the remote site setting. So now here, how can we add? Go to the setup menu, go to the administrator menu, security controls, and then we have the option called as remote site settings. Remote site settings. Inside this remote site settings, we have to add the endpoint URL. As a step 3, that means here from there onwards, Salesforce will allow you to connect to that endpoint URL so that we can able to invoke that web service and we can able to collect the data. Now, after that, then design the user interface. So in this case, whenever we are going to be in the user interface, if I'm writing some code in order to connect to the third-party web services, okay, in order to connect to the third-party web services, then we are going to be designing that user interface to make a request and to collect the data and response back. So now in this case, whatever the URL is available, we can able to specify the URL hard-coded inside your application also, or else we can able to store this URL inside your remote site settings, or we can store this URL inside your custom labels also. Okay, we can able to store this URL in the custom labels also. Now, store the URL, nothing but endpoint URL. Endpoint URL inside the custom label. I will show you where exactly the custom label options are available, how to create the custom labels in order to store this information. Okay. Like for example, we can go to that setup menu, go to the build menu, and then we can go with that customize, the create. In that one, we can go with that custom label. Create a custom label by storing this endpoint URL. Why? Because inside that application code, I don't want to hard code this information. Okay, inside my application code, I don't want to hardcode this information because if somebody is looking into my code, they can understand the URL to which I'm connecting right now. So to avoid this kind of information, instead of hardcoding this URL inside your application code, just you can able to place this code inside the custom labels and whatever the usernames and the passwords you are going to be using to connect to the aggregation servers. All this information you can able to place inside the custom labels also. We can create the different custom labels and then we can able to store this information. And from there, as a step 4, design the user interface. Okay, design the user interface in order to write the code. So for that one here, collect the input parameters, collect the input values from the user interface, and then invoke the web service, okay, by using HTTP request and HTTP response class. HTTP response class. And then you will be getting the response. Get the response from the web service. Get the response from the web service and then parse the content. Parse the content by using JSON parser classes. JSON parser classes and represent the data on the user first page. And represent the data on the user first page. So these are the 4 simple steps that we are doing right now. And the actual business logic will be available, okay, inside this the user interface. In the 4th step only, we are going to be writing the complete code. So at that time, whenever we are going to be invoking these third-party web services, these are the 4 simple steps we have to follow. So now we have to get that endpoint URL, that means to which web service you would like to invoke. Second one, add the endpoint URL inside that remote site settings. Third one, we can able to create a custom label in order to store the data. Fourth one, design the user interface and implement the business logic, whatever you want to invoke the third-party web service, whatever you want. Let me save this file. So now these are the 4 steps we need to follow. Let's see how can we implement these steps. Now let's say practical. First of all, let me get that URL and then adding this URL inside my remote site setting. Then, so this is the URL. They are going to be indicating that whenever we are going to be indicating this information. Okay, whenever we are going to be indicating this information, we have to specify. See, they're indicating API call. How can we invoke this call? There will be clearly documented. Okay, whenever you are connecting to any third-party application, we can able to go with that documentation first. In the documentation, clearly they will mention that how to connect to the third-party web service, what parameters needs to be get supplied, how to invoke that, everything they will be clearly indicating that. So here they are indicating that api.openweathermap.org, and here we need to pass the city name. Along with that, we need to add the application ID as a key. Based on that application ID, only they will recognize you. Why? Because this is the authentication code which they are expecting. So if this authentication code is required, then how can we get this authentication code? For that one, to get this authentication code at the API key at the application ID, so we need to log in into that application first. That means we should be the member of this particular application first. So we have to go to this application, like as Open WeatherMap application, we have to be registered into that application first. You will be having a small sign-up form is available. With that sign-up form, we can able to log in into this application here. You can create your own account and then we can able to store that information inside this. Now, I'm logging into this application over here right now. Click on sign in. I'm going to be logging into the application. Already I'm having registration in this one. So whenever if you want to connect to this web service, you have to create that account first. It's a very simple form is available. Just we can able to enter two forms, two details over there. With that one, we can able to create your own account as well. So we have to specify that our username and the password. So now here I'm going to be indicating the password over here. I have logged into this application right now. Now please get that API key. So here you will be having that API key section is available over here. Here's the API key section. Click on API keys. Now it is generating one key is available to you. Here's the key. So now we need to collect this key. Okay, we need to collect this key. So based on the key, we can able to connect to the third-party web service. Nothing but to this open WeatherMap application. We need to collect this particular third-party web service. So I would like to collect that API key also. Now as a step 1.1. Get the application ID by creating a membership in Open WeatherMap. So now I'm collecting the API key over here. I'm collecting the API key. This API key also I would like to store inside my custom labels. I would like to create a custom label. In that case, I would like to specify the custom labels also. Now, so now here in this case, we have to specify that application key. Based on that application key, we are going to specify this whole information. Now,
this conference will now be recorded.
so now we have to implement each and every step. Okay. So how to connect to the third-party system, and then how can we invoke the third-party URLs, third-party web services, and then how can we get the response and how can we pass? Now let's see practically. Now, so let me go with the user interface design first. And this is the user interface I would like to have in order to connect to the third-party system by passing the city name dynamically at runtime. I would like to pass the city name dynamically at runtime. I don't want to hardcode the value to get the same response again and again and again. I would like to pass this value at runtime. Now, so let me go with my Salesforce instance. Now, so let's design the user interface. I'm designing a user interface with the name show weather details. I'm creating a visual post page with the name show weather details. So now I would like to design the visual post page exactly similar like this so that I can able to have one text box inside that to enter the city name based on which we can able to get the information. Now, so I would like to have the default properties. Setup equals to false, sidebar equals to false, show header equals to true, and then I'm indicating that tab style equals to position object tab style. Section header title equals to the weather, and then subtitle equals to weather details. Apex farm. Now, so inside the farm tag, I would like to have the page block. Apex page block. I'm giving the title property. Weather details or search weather details. Weather details. Inside the page block, I'm going to be having the page block section. In this page block section, I'm giving the title show or search weather details. Search weather details. I'm indicating that number of columns as 2 because I want to place one text box and one button control. I need that collapsible option. Collapsible equals to I'm placing the text box. Input text. Label equals to enter city name and the HTML placeholder. Enter city name. I'm placing a button control. Apex command button value equals to get details. So now here I have placed that visual post. Inside this one I have placed one page block. In that page block I have placed a section, okay, search weather details. Now I have placed one text box also with the name, city name, and then I have placed that the watermark inside the text box with the name, enter city name, and then get details. Now to show that results, I would like to have a separate page block section. Okay, I would like to have a separate page block section. Now I am going to be designing one more page block. Apex page block. Title. I'm indicating the weather details. I want to show that weather details information. Inside this, I would like to place the output labels. Okay, output label. I'm indicating city name. Apex output label. I would like to get that temperature. Apex output label. I would like to indicate the minimum temperature. Apex output label maximum temperature. Apex output label pressure value. Apex output label humidity. I'm indicating. These are the values I would like to represent. Inside the page block, I would like to represent all this information. For that one, I'm giving the breaks. I'm using the break tags. 2 break tags I would like to use so that I can use some more space. And then the 2 is the city name I would like to represent in the form of the bold format also. Whatever the content is available, we can show in the form of bold format. So now here I'm indicating the weather details, city name, pressure information, minimum temperature, maximum pressure, and the humidity value. So now here my user interface is ready. So now I would like to connect. Suppose, for example, here I am entering that value some Hyderabad, India. So whenever I'm entering that city value and then country code, when you click on get the details, it has to collect the Hyderabad's weather information. It has to represent the details of. So to collect the weather information, I would like to use the WeatherMap web service, which has been exposed by that organization. So for that one here, I have collected that WeatherMap API also. So this is the web service URL that they have given to me. So now I would like to use this URL in order to connect to the weather map, and then I would like to pass that URL also along with the city name and the application code. So first of all, we need to add that URI inside your remote site settings. So now let's see how can we do this one. So in order to get this URI, just to go to that. Just to go to the documentations so that you can able to get this information also. Let me go to the API and the user guides. Upon invoking this one, they are going to be indicating this. They are using the HTTPS, and then this is the URI they would like to follow. This is the URI. They are using HTTPS. Instead of samples, they are going to connect to the API. We have to specify this URL. Now I would like to collect this URL. I would like to add this URL inside my remote site setting. So this is the URL. I'm going to be adding inside my remote site setting. Even though if you're giving complete URL, it will add only that up to that open weathermap.org. So let me go with that step by step. First step, I have collected that endpoint URL. Now I need to add that endpoint URL inside that the remote site settings. Now let me go to the remote site settings of my Salesforce instance, or else it won't allow. Go to the setup menu. Go to the administrator menu in the left panel. Go to the security controls. We have an option called as remote site settings. Okay, remote site settings. So these are the remote sites, nothing but these are the third-party applications, okay, which can connect to the Salesforce instance. Everybody can't connect to the Salesforce because Salesforce is purely completely protected. It's a restricted application, so all the applications can't connect. Because to prevent this data from the unauthorized people, from the hackers, Salesforce has introduced this remote site settings. Now, whenever we are making a request to that Salesforce, to the third-party service, first of all, Salesforce will verify whether this application, whether this website, or whether this URL is a trusted application or not. So, if you look into the remote site settings, whether that website has been added or not. If it is added, then only it will be connecting to that website, or else it won't connect. Now, click on New Remote Site. I am going to be adding that remote site name over here. Open WeatherMap, okay, remote site, or in the file. Specify the URL. I'm giving the complete URL here. Just to give that save button. Even though it will be giving the, you are giving the complete path, it will add up to this part. Now click on save, because just this domain name is sufficient for this one. It is adding only the up to the domain name part. Now I'm done with the second step. Step 2, I'm done with that. I'm adding that remote site also inside my remote site settings. Now, so now as a step 3, I need to create a custom label in order to store the endpoint URL, and then application key also I would like to store inside this. Now for that one, two custom labels I would like to create. Now let's see. I'm creating the custom labels. We'll be having the create custom label. I'm creating the custom label right now. Give any name whatever you want. I'm indicating WeatherMap URL. Okay, WeatherMap endpoint URL. Okay, I'm giving that name as a WeatherMap endpoint URL. And the value. What is that WeatherMap endpoint URL? Can you specify this up to this part? Q equals to city name. I will pass dynamically at runtime. Up to this part I'm adding here. So HTTPS api.openweathermap.org/data/2.5 weather colon, and then I'm indicating that Q equals to. That means here we need to specify the city. But where is the city value? City value is coming from a user interface. From this user interface, I will append this value dynamically at runtime. Custom labels are nothing but simply the labels we are going to be creating inside your Salesforce instance to store some data. Okay, to store some data. Now save this information. Like the similar way. So we have created that one custom label with the name. Okay, now weather map. Okay, independent URL. Next, I want to create one more with the custom label in order to store the application key. I'm indicating that weather map application key or application ID. Now, I'm storing that value. So what is the key? This is the key which we have generated by logging into my application. By logging into my account inside the WeatherMap. So first of all, we should be the registered member of Open WeatherMap. Okay. So then only we can able to generate this key. Or else we can't generate the key. Without the key, we can't invoke that website. That is the first fundamental principle. They have followed. Now click on. These are the two custom labels are available right now with me. So now these two custom labels are having the indefined URL and aligned with that application ID. So we need to collect this information. Based on that information, we can able to get the response. Now, so let's see how can we implement this functionality. So as a step 3, we have added that indefined URL and aligned with the application ID inside the custom labels. Application ID inside the custom label. So now in this case, okay, now after that we have to design the user interface. In this user interface, so we are done with the user interface design. Then we need to write the business logic inside. As part of this business logic here, then what needs to be done? Now let's see practically. You know, so now upon click on this button control, I want to collect all the details of the respective cities weather information. Now write the business logic. In order to write the business logic, we are using the custom controller. So I'm using the controller part, controller, show weather details controller. I'm preparing a controller class with the name show weather details controller. Now create that Apex class. Now my class has been prepared. Okay, now my class has been prepared. So here we can able to write the business logic. Let me open this class inside my developer console because here it will be giving the intelligence also to me over here. So that you can able to see all the methods, whatever the methods are required, all the methods you can able to see in the place. Now, so let me open that class which I have prepared. So we have started the class with the name show weather details. Show weather details in the class which we have prepared. So now here what needs to be done initially in this case, whenever we are going to be collecting this information. First of all, we need to collect that the weather information, and then we need to respond. We need to represent that information, okay, on our Visualforce page. Now, so at that time, what needs to be done first? First of all, we have to collect the input parameter value, okay, which we have entered, okay, which we have entered inside this particular text box. What are the parameter we have entered inside that user interface? I need to collect that value first, and then that value we need to pass to my URL upon invoking. Now to collect that value, I'm defining one variable, public string city name. I'm making it as get and set. I'm defining that variable with the name city name, so which can able to store the name of the city which the user has entered inside my text box. So in my text box, whatever the city name the user has entered, the city value I would like to store inside the variable. For that one, I'm making it as get and set. Now this variable I am going to bind it with my text box. So let's go to the text box and then we can able to bind the variable. Value property equals to, we can specify. Okay, value property equals to city name. That means whatever the value that I'm entering inside my text box, please store this value inside my city name variable. Okay, please store this value inside my city name variable. Let me save this class. Let's load the user interface. Now, so I'm passing this value equals to and indicate city. So now my code has been saved successfully right now. The next one, we need to write a business logic for this. So after entering some city name, I'm collecting the city value, and then upon click on that get details button, I need to collect the details of that, the weather information of the respective city, and then I want to represent on my visual perspective. For that one, I'm preparing a method. Public void get weather details. Now, so in this case, what needs to be done? Whenever we are going to be collecting the weather information, so first of all, we need to collect that URLs. That means to which web service you would like to connect this one. First of all, we have to collect that URL information. So based on that, we can able to implement this. Now, where is my URLs are available? URLs are available inside my custom label. So that I'm going to prepare it. I'm indicating endpoint URL. Endpoint URL. How can we get this endpoint URL over here from the custom label? How can we get the custom labels? At that time, we have to use system dot label dot that label name. So what is the name of that label? Two custom labels I have prepared. Let me open the two labels. This is the first label, application URL. I'm collecting that application URL. And then after that, what we need to specify, I need to pass a city name over here. City name. Because my URL will be looking like this, nothing but the path should be like this. This is the path we need to invoke. So that up to this part is available inside my custom label. And then this part, nothing but this is the city name I'm adding. Okay. I'm appending right now by collecting the data from the city name parameter. And then this application ID, nothing but ampersand application ID we need to pass. I'm going to be adding this. And then plus ampersand application ID. Application ID equals to, we need to pass that application ID here. Application ID is available inside my separate custom label. So what is that custom label right now that we have prepared one more, which is application ID custom label. I'm collecting that application label. I'm storing inside. This is my string variable. So this is my endpoint URL. In this endpoint URL, I'm collecting that system.label and then WeatherMap endpoint URL plus city name. I'm going to be appending the city name value inside this plus ampersand app ID, nothing but application ID equals to, I'm going to be adding this information. But this is available what we have the custom label, so that we have to specify system.label dot that particular label name. These are the two labels are available where exactly my URL is available and then my application ID is available. Even though if somebody is looking into my code, they can't understand what is the web service to which I'm connecting. To protect that URL information from the unauthorized people, we are going to using this kind of custom labels internally inside your Salesforce instance. When you go to the real-time implementations, always we're storing the custom labels. Okay, we are using the custom labels to store the third-party application URLs and then usernames, passwords, and then any application IDs, access tokens, everything you're storing inside the custom labels only. Or else you can use custom settings. You know how to use the custom settings already, you are aware of that. Or else you can store inside the custom setting, you can get it over here just by using some ready-made methods. Now, so once the endpoint URL is available, then what needs to be done? We need to connect to the endpoint URL. So how can we connect to the endpoint URL? Now let's see practically. For that one, we are using the HTTP request class. Request equals to new HTTP request. And then I'm going to be specifying the URL. Request dot set endpoint. Which endpoint you would like to connect? This is my endpoint URL. This is the endpoint URL. And then request dot set method. set method. So what we are going to do, I would like to get the data here from that application. For that one, I'm indicating that method as get method. That means by invoking this web service, I'm going to be collecting the data from that web service. Okay, which is going to providing some weather information. I would like to collect this information. For that one here, I'm going to be indicating the method as get method. Now, after that, we need to collect the response information also. HTTP response, and response equals to new HTTP response. I'm creating the object of the HTTP response class. Now we can able to store the response. So then how can we store the response here? In this case, we can specify the response equals to, we can able to collect the response. How can we collect the response? Whenever I'm invoking this particular request, then only we'll be getting the response. How can we invoke that service? For that one, to invoke the web service, we are using the class called as HTTP class. HTTP obj equals to new HTTP. Because HTTP class is used to invoke the request to get the response. But this HTTP request class is just to prepare the request. That's it. It won't invoke. Just it will prepare to which server we need to connect. What is the method type? What is the content type? What are the header information is required? And then connection timeout information. That information we can specify inside the request. To invoke this request, we are going to use just the HTTP class. We are going to be indicating HTTP object dot send. What is the request? We get the request class. So we can specify the request. You will be getting the response over here. That response you can able to collect and you can able to represent on your WeatherMap page also. So now we can able to get the response. That response information we can represent on our WeatherMap page also. That facility will be available. Now, so now here in this case here, this is the method, this is the functionality. So I want to store this response on my WeatherMap page. For that one, I'm preparing one variable here. Public string weather details. Weather details get and set. How can we store this weather information, weather details inside this? Okay, weather details equals to, I'm indicating how can we get response dot get body. That means in this response, whatever the body is available in that body, you will be having the response information. That means that your weather details are available inside this body. So I'm collecting the response information, I'm storing inside my string variable. Now, this is the string value I want to show on my WeatherMap page. I want to show this string value on my WeatherMap page. So for that one, I'm defining that a variable in the class level by defining it as get set. So now let me show that variable over here. Let's go to the user interface. Reload this page. We'll get the class code also. Now, I want to indicate. So this is the method which I would like to invoke. When upon click on this button control, I'm indicating action property equals to, I'm indicating the button control. And then I would like to refresh this particular table. Okay, re-render equals to PG block. Here I'm going to be giving that name, ID equals to PG block. This concept is not new, already you are aware of it. So this is the existing concept only. Here I want to represent the data. I'm indicating the output label, affects output label. I'm indicating response is I want to show. I would like to collect that weather information, weather details. Okay, I'm going to be representing this information. Whatever the information is available, this information I'm representing inside my user interface. Here we can able to give some break. That means here, whenever we are going to be connecting to the web service, don't try to display the result in the exact places. First of all, try to test it. Okay, just invoke that, get the response, show on the WeatherMap page. If it is getting, then we can able to pass the content, then we can able to represent on your user interface. First of all, let's test whether it is working properly or not, whether we are getting the response or not. If the response is getting here, then only we can able to write the code to pass the information. Okay, now. So for that reason, here I'm displaying that weather information on my WeatherMap page here, inside my output label. Now here I would like to show that. Now, enter city name. I'm indicating Chennai. Okay, I'm indicating that Chennai. Click on get details. We can able to get the weather information also. The response is it is indicating that the name of that city is Chennai. So we can able to get the weather information, weather coordinates, nothing but the Chennai locations coordinates are longitude value, latitude value, weather information, and the base information, temperature value, feels like minimum temperature, maximum temperature, pressure value, humidity, the whole information we can able to collect this information and we can able to show. For example, I'm indicating some Bangalore. Once you click on get details, we can get that Bangalore information. Here the Bangalore information is available. Here the temperature details are available. So we are getting the response over here. Now once the response is available, then we can able to parse this response and we can able to represent this information inside our result first page and we can able to show inside this. Okay. So this is the way we can able to connect to that. So these are the steps that are involved. First of all, we have to add inside the remote site settings, define some custom labels in order to store that URLs, and then if there is any application codes are available, if there is any usernames, passwords, and then security tokens, average server URLs, everything we can able to store inside the custom labels, and then access that information, and then we can able to connect to the respective service by using the HTTP class, HTTP request class, HTTP response class, and then we can able to get the response. If the response is coming, then we can able to parse the data, we can able to represent inside this. So this is the way we have to do that here. Now here in this case, how can we indicate this information? So here we are having the information is available. The actual information, temperature, and the fields like minimum temperature, maximum temperature, pressure, and the humidity, the whole information is there under that main. Okay, under this main, we are having this actual content is available here. So now here, how can we parse this content? Now let me show you practically in this case. Now. So now let me open this class again so that we can able to get the latest code. Now. So here we are going to be collecting the information. I would like to parse the data. You know the parsing code, how to parse the JSON content, you are aware of already. Okay. I'm writing that code again here. But this one, system.json parser, now weather parser, equals to system.json.create parser. Create parser, I would like to pass that string, which is saying the response information. Whatever the response that was collected, this response information I'm going to be passing that. Now let's verify this. Response.getBond. So whatever the response information is available, I will like to pass this information. Now I'm going to be using this. While the W parser, okay, that next token is not equals to null. That means I'm going to be iterating this information till I'm not reaching to the next token over here. And then I would like to verify this information. If W parser dot get current token equals to system dot JSON token dot field name, okay, field name, and W parser dot get text equals to name. That means what I'm going to be collecting the information, where exactly the actual data is available. The data is available inside that main parser. This is the main. In this particular main, this is nothing but the key, and then in this one we are having the actual temperature information is available. So I would like to enter into this one. That means here I'm going to verify whether it is a main key or not, nothing but element or not. If it is token, where is the actual value? This is available inside my object over here. For that one, I'm going to be entering into that next token inside this. So for that one, I'm using W parser that next token. Okay, next token. And from here, we are going to be collecting this information. Now, this is the next token. So now this next token is what? This next token is nothing but object here. If it is a stacking of this object. If it is stacking of the object or not, then I would like to enter into this. Now, if W parser dot get current token is equals to system dot JSON token dot start object. If it is starting of that object or not, if it is the starting of that object or not, I would like to verify. Now, if it is starting up that object, then I would like to enter into that. W parser that next token. I'm going to be entering into that next token because here I'm going to be entering into this next token with the starting of the object over here, and from there I'm entering into the next token. From there, I would like to keep on iterate this one. I would like to verify. I'm verifying this information inside this. Now, I would like to verify if W parser dot get current token is equals to JSON token dot is it nothing but a field or not? If it is field, and then I would like to verify that who that field name is like as temperature. What is the first field name we are having? Temp. This is nothing but a field name. Based on that, we need to collect that value. So now W parser dot get text is equals to I'm indicating is a temp or not. If it is available, then I would like to go to that next one, next to token, then I would like to collect the value inside this. That value I would like to represent on my Visual first page inside this. So we are going to be using that next parser dot next token. And from there I would like to collect this value. W parser dot get text. Dot get text. This value I want to show. What is this value? Temperature value. To show this temperature value, we are going to be using that separate variable. To represent on my Visual first page, I'm indicating public string temperature. I'm indicating get insert. Public string minimum temperature. I'm indicating get insert. Public string maximum temperature. I'm indicating get insert. So we'd like to collect this information. Now, I'm collecting the temperature value, and then I would like to verify the similar kind of information. I want to store this information inside my variable temperature. Okay, temperature equals to I would like to indicate W parser dot get text. Like the similar way, I'm going to be writing the code.